The first step to configure the NetworkHD system to support the NetworkHD Touch application is to download the WyreStorm Management Suite from WyreStorm.com. The download for the Management Suite will be a .zip file. Extract the contents of the .zip to a location on your computer. You will need to update the firmware if your product shipped from WyreStorm prior to July 2016. For instruction on how to perform the firmware update, please see the video named NetworkHD 100-200 Series Firmware Update. To begin configuring the system, launch the NetworkHD 000 Series console from the Management Suite. The first step is to click the Search button at the top left of the application to populate all the available NetworkHD components. The current NetworkHD system we are configuring for the Touch app is a pre-existing system that has the settings adjusted. Your PC's IP address will need to be in the same range as the encoders and decoders to populate the components. By default, the IP range is 169.254.x.x. A key component to the NetworkHD Touch application is the ability to have live video previews. In order for the app to pull the video previews, the iPad has to be in the same IP subnet as the encoders, decoders, and CTL. This means that there may need to be a slight reconfiguration of IP addresses for your devices. To change the IP addresses of encoders and decoders, you can perform one of two steps. If you have a smaller system with only a few NetworkHD components, you can manually change the IP addresses of each device individually. Do this by right-clicking a device and choosing Config. Then select Static and enter an IP address in the same range as the iPad or Control LAN. Once you have entered in a static IP address, ensure that the device restart checkbox is selected and then click Apply. If you have a larger NetworkHD system, then it can be quicker and easier to assign IP addresses using the Batch Commands option. To assign IP addresses to multiple encoders and decoders, either select specific components from the list on the left or check the All box. Next, enter in a beginning IP address and an ending IP address. Ensure that you enter in a correct subnet mask. If it is not already, tick the device restart box at the bottom and then click Apply. Please note, you may need to reassign a static IP address to your PC once you change the range of the encoders and decoders for them to appear online in the console. Batch commands can also be used to configure decoders to send CEC or RS-232 commands to the attached displays. These commands can be triggered from the Touch app when the power on or off buttons are pressed. From the Batch Commands window, select the Display Power tab. Select decoders from the list at the left that you wish to configure. You can then choose to program these decoders to send CEC or RS-232 commands when the power off and on buttons are selected from the Touch app. For RS-232 control, adjust the RS-232 settings for the displays and enter in the serial commands in the power on and standby boxes respectively. It is important to note that the format of the display's serial command. When finished, click Apply for the settings to take effect. If you change the IP addresses of the encoders and decoders, you will also need to change the IP address of the AV port on the CTL to be in the same range. To do this, you will need to log into the web UI of the CTL by opening a web browser. In the web browser, type in the IP address of the CTL. By default, this will be 192.168.11.243. Then enter in the username and password. This by default is both admin. To change the IP address of the AV port, navigate to the Controller Settings tab in the web GUI of the CTL. The AV port IP address is located in the TX and ARX communication section. This will need to be changed to the same IP subnet as the encoders and decoders. Click Apply when you have entered the information and allow the CTL to reboot. The latest version of the 000 console software hosts many new features, one of which is the ability to create decoder groups for the NetworkHD Touch application. To create a decoder group, click the All Groups drop-down in the ARC section of the software, then click the Create Group button. Give the group a name and click OK. To assign a decoder to a group, right-click it in the list and select Change Group at the bottom of the menu. To create a video wall within a group, first click the group you wish to create it in. Then click the Create VW button at the top center of the software. Give the video wall a name and assign the row and column size. You can also assign the group from this pop-up as well. Next, create a layout for the video wall. To do this, select the Create Layout button. Name the layout and click OK. Right-click a screen and choose Select All. Repeat this process a second time and then choose Combine. Give the logic screen a name and click OK. You can now drag and drop decoders and an encoder to the scene. Repeat these steps for any additional video walls or groups you wish to create. Once all of the configurations are complete, you then need to upload the information to the NetworkHD controller. To do so, right-click the controller from the list at the right and choose Upload. Allow the progress to fill to 100% and then click OK. The NetworkHD Touch iPad application is a free download from the Apple App Store. Simply search for NetworkHD and download the app. When the app is first opened, you will see the Connecting to IP controller message. You will get the Failed to Connect message. To adjust the IP address the app connects to, tap on Change Settings. On the Connection Settings page, you will see the currently assigned IP address for the controller. To change this, select Advanced Settings off to the left. When prompted for a password, enter Admin. Once in the Advanced Settings, select Change NHD-CTL IP address. Enter in the CTL's AV port IP address. Navigate back to Connection Settings and then click the Connect to Controller button. All of the configuration information in the controller will now be loaded into the app. To assign encoders to decoders, navigate into a group and simply drag and drop from the source list at the bottom onto one of the displays. If you have configured a video wall for your system, the touch interface will appear like the one above and will reflect the amount of displays. Off to the right, you will see different layouts you can set the video wall to. Simply tap a different layout and the video wall configuration will change. If you have configured a group that consists of a video wall and individual screens, you can simply swipe right on the screen to see other displays. If a display does not have a source selected to it, you will see the NetworkHD Touch logo appear. The NetworkHD Touch app has many other features, such as Anato integration, assigning group icons, hiding specific groups, and creating encoder groups. To make these adjustments, tap the Settings icon at the top right and choose Advanced Settings. To integrate Anato into the app, tap Source Control. Toggle Enable Source Control to the On position, then check the Anato control box. Navigate back to the main screen for the advanced settings and choose Decoder Group and Control Settings. Select a group that you would like to add Anato control to. Also from this menu, you can choose to hide or show any groups you have created, including the ungrouped group. To link a specific page from the Anato UI into a group in the app, you need to add an environment control address. This can be done by simply generating a QR code within the Anato and then scanning it from within the Touch app. This page also allows you to set a custom group icon from the iPad image library. To enter into the Anato UI, navigate into the group and select the remote icon that appears at the bottom. From the Anato UI, you can have control of source devices. You can create a shortcut button and add a function command to it to relaunch the Touch app. For more information on NetworkHD, the Touch app, or Anato, you can visit WyreStorm.com.